Alright, so as you can see, I peeled off that sticker and I bought a piece of copper. It's 1 mm thick. I have a drill, I have a Dremel, and I'm making a new cover. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make two pieces, one inside, one outside, and you see all these edged boxes, and all of them are gonna be drilled out, and I'm gonna stick them in with thermal pads. And so what's gonna happen is that the heat from inside will transfer to the copper plate and then come outside and see if it can dissipate faster, and you can record in 4K 16 longer. So I don't know where it's gonna go. Maybe this is the end of my Snoppa Vmate, and we'll see. Alright, so with the motherboard out, so let me show you this heatsink. This is this like tiny little piece of heatsink, and it connects to this area. You see that white area? That's where the top of this heatsink connects to, and it tries to conduct the heat through that into the motor and try to dissipate out through the top of the motor, which I don't know, is this a standard design? I think I saw that in Osmo Pocket as well, but what's the difference is that Osmo Pocket actually has a much bigger plate that covers the entire motherboard, but this one just have a little tiny square that covers the CPU, which doesn't even cover the entire thing. Look at that, the corner sticking out. So I don't know, I think the thermal design is where the thing is limiting, so that's why I have this copper plate right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'll cut a piece of copper plate for the inside. I'm gonna open up this area and then try to connect the two pieces of copper together, and when it's done I'll show you. If anything happens, I have an Osmo Pocket in the mail. The copper plate came from China. It took like 3 to 4 weeks, but you know what? Is coming at a good time, so let's continue with this guy and march on. Yeah, this is what happens when you don't have the right tools. You just keep on you make scores, cuts, and then drill a couple holes and just trying to remove this material out. Alright, time to clean it up with this piler right here. So just gotta clip the edges off and make a clean square like this one, and then I'm gonna file the edges, and once we file the edges, make it smooth, then we'll fit this on, make sure it's good. Then on the other side I might make another plate. Well, now that the hole is big enough, but it's very rough because all the rough tools I use, so I have to put some sandpaper to it. Maybe I can get a smoother surface, then I can put this plate back on. Or I can even use the knife now that most of the material is removed. I can use the knife to trim the edges a little bit. So I'm gonna cut another piece of copper that's this wide, 25 mm, 44 mm. I will make it something even smaller, like 42 maybe. And then I'll probably have to cut out the screw post right here as well. So that should allow me to fit that piece of copper in here as well. So after some cutting, I made another piece of copper that stays inside like this, and on the back. So I'm gonna have to push it further, make sure it sits flush with the housing, and put some double-sided tape on this ridge. Yeah, that's why I leave these pieces on, so I can put some tape on it. Now the next thing I got is the thermal pad, the Arctic cooling thermal pad. So what I will do is that I'll fill these gaps with the thermal pad, and then put some tape, double-sided tape on the ridges, and then apply that copper plate on top. Alright, so I was a little bit unsure, so after putting all these pads on, I also put a dab of thermal paste, the Arctic MS4. Okay, so I cut the thermal pad into the right shape, and I cut out the openings for right here is the microphone, right here is the power button, is a screw post, here's another screw post. the LED here and the microphone right here, and we're gonna put this together and we'll see if how it behaves when it does the 4K 60 record. So it turns out that this Wi-Fi module blocks the it's a little too thick, so I cannot follow my original plan to use the copper plate. So I took out the copper plate and put this right on the top. So maybe I will just add another layer of thermal pad right here to give it some thickness to maybe dissipate heat on these components. So, a little disappointing. That's what happens when you try to hack things together, and that's part of the journey. So after I removed some of the thermal pad material that's a little making the gap a little too thick, now I assemble the thing back together. So let me put back my battery and I'll turn it back on. Hopefully it still works. If not, well, it's a good knowing your Snoppa Vmate. Hey, the thing still turns back on. I'm so surprised. Like, I've been so abusive of it. Look at this. Now it gets a little shiny copper front plate, but it's kind of insecure, so I put it inside the bracket, and there's another. It probably stay like this from now on because there's no real glue that's holding this in place, and if I take it out, I'm afraid it's gonna drop the plate and lose it. So I'm gonna turn on the record button and see how long it takes before this thing just self-destructs and shut itself down. Alright, so you see, doing good. So look at this. Now it's at 4K 60 and recording has exceeded 45 minutes. Now it's 47 and counting. If it goes beyond 1 hour, then I think this experiment is a great success. So like I said, I'm very disappointed at the hardware design at Snoppa that decide to like use such an inadequate cooling solution. And I just hacked this thing together. I mean, this thing took me a while to grind this together. I mean, this is so disappointing, man. I mean, me at home doing that very rough DIY MacGyver stuff that put together, and I'm able to solve a problem, but they just couldn't do it. Like, why? Like, you have all these resources and all these like fabrication and stuff. Oh God. What can I say, man? Like I said, I really enjoy the process of hacking this up together, but at the same time I'm disappointed at the product that I got. What am I am so conflicted, man. Alright guys, look at this. It's past 1 hour and it's also charging at the same time. The copper plate feels hot, but it isn't really hotter than the screen itself. So I think I will end this video here. I hope you enjoyed this and thank you for watching.